we used to have a lot of tax teams which were consuming a lot of money. So when the study was conducted was how it will be best if maybe the old maiden robberies, the old sun-ups, narcotics, they can come back and then can be capacitated. Because of if you deal with only tax team to address a certain threat, sometimes you lose it because most of the members of the tax teams, they are not developing. They don't go to courses, the promotions, because they are forever in the tax team. So if now they are in this specialized unit, we can plan for them so that they can also develop, they can also be trained. So it's one of the reasons why this study was conducted, so that it can be fair. When we say maiden robbery in KZN, there will be members within that section. And commissioners, it doesn't stop you as a commander or as a component head. If maybe you are faced with this emerging threat, to come up with a tax team, but it's not a unit. You just take members from the very same maiden robbery. They address a problem. Then after stabilization, then we see this, now the threat is no longer in that level. Then we proceed with the investigation.
Maybe finally, so there should be, I mean, it sounds like a big decision that people, members who are part of the PKTT, now that it is disbanded, they are going back to their home stations. And when they get whatever's going to happen at their home stations, it sounds like a big decision. They don't just decide, this is where I want to belong. Management makes that decision.
Yes.
So is it fair or reasonable that we should expect there would be a record of that decision and that plan, that when they return, now that the PKTT is disbanded, when these members return to their home stations, identified in a plan, this is what's going to happen to them? We should expect such a plan.
Yes, commissioners, there should be that plan.
Okay.
There should be that plan. So far, I can't allude to that plan.
Yes.
But there should be. We can't just disband people without a plan, go back to your station without maybe provisions for those members when they go back to the state. There should be a plan.
Thank you, General.
Thanks, Commissioner.
General, when General Sibiya alludes to some of these aspects of a plan, including the return to stations of origin, did you ask him for the plan?
No, I didn't ask for the plan. I was just asking what was the reasons of disbanding of the PKTT.
Okay. And have you had regard to the minister's letter disbanding the PKTT?
No, I didn't see the minister's letter. I was just informed by General Sibiya during our engagement that there was a letter from the minister, but I was never given a copy of the minister's letter. He did mention that there was a directive from the minister for the disbandment of this team.
And have you since seen the letter?
No, I didn't see. I've never seen the letter in General Sibiya engagement, but later when we were engaging, I did see that letter, that directive actually.
And in that letter, the minister does set out the reasons for disbandment, which is the team is no longer required, nor is it adding value to policing in South Africa. That sounds different to what General Sibiya described to you as the reasons.
Commissioners, I think that one of the ministers can answer. I don't know what was behind his mind or what was he thinking when he said that PKTT no longer serve value to sub-service, because of even though they are disbanded, they are still police officials. They will serve purpose somewhere. They will definitely. I don't know what was the reason behind that. They will never serve any purpose, or they no longer serve any purpose. They will still serve because they are still carrying court dockets, those members. So they do serve. They do serve something in the communities, and also in the police service.
Thank you, General. Do you agree with the proposition that the minister's reasons as articulated in their letter and those provided to you by General Sibiya were different?
I can't hear, pardon me, please.
Do you agree with the proposition that the reasons articulated by the minister in his letter and the reasons that were given to you by General Sibiya are different?
Yes, they are different because now General Sibiya was expanding. Only in the letter of the minister is very minimal. I don't know, maybe when he was with them engaging, maybe he also gave these reasons which General Sibiya now is articulating to me.
Thank you, General. And then on paragraph 22, you express your opinion on how the disbandment took place. Can you explain to the commissioners what your take is on the disbandment process?
Okay, thanks, commissioners. Can I be allowed also to read the paragraph? Commissioners, I also wish to mention that although I was not involved in the disbandment process, I agree with the view that the PKTT should not have been disbanded without proper consultation. I do not know if the minister has the authority to disband the PKTT. However, even if the minister had the authority to disband the PKTT, he had to first consult with all the relevant stakeholders, which would have included me as the component head responsible for serious and violent crimes. I also do not agree that the PKTT should have been disbanded before the upcoming elections. It is a well-known fact that KZN has the highest incidence of political killings, and there's usually a spike in politically motivated killings before elections. It would not make sense to disband the PKTT immediately unless the stakeholders had advised the minister that immediate disbandment would be appropriate. Having said that, I do not necessarily agree that the PKTT was more successful than any other team investigating the same types of crimes.
Why do you not agree?
Commissioner?
Why do you not agree, General?
I do not agree with the PKTT.
Your last sentence, yes.
I do not agree, Commissioner, because of in these 9 provinces, we also investigate political killing murder cases, and we also investigate cases of murder, serial murder, serious murders. So now if you say PKTT is the best team than any other teams, I think we are demoralizing our members who are working so hard as we sit here chasing suspect. We see in the media, we see all over how is our teams.
I'm not sure that I follow your reasoning, General. The point is about success or lack of it. What you have said, or the reason you give, is about working hard, and it does not address the question of success or lack of it. So can you have another go, please, and explain,
okay, thanks.
Explain your disagreement?
Okay, Commissioner, what I'm trying to say here is we do have successes in other provinces in the very same team, irrespective whether it's a tax team, where they do have less resources than the PKTT, but they are succeeding. There's a lot of convictions. Same as PKTT, they differ in dynamics, but what I'm trying to just to illustrate here is the PKTT is not the only team within the detective environment which have more successes. Other teams in 8 provinces without tax team, with the Mayagra resources, they also have great successes, Commissioner. I just wanted to bring to this attention that it's not only the PKTT which have higher successes, they also contribute to the performance like any other province which are also contributing, Commissioner.
Let's take one example. Those who say that the PKTT was significantly successful make the point, for example, that the PKTT had within it ballistic experts, for example, and therefore within the PKTT you would not find the delays that you ordinarily find with the ordinary investigation of crime. What's your comment on that? Is it not a fact that with detectives in other areas within SAPS would have to wait for very long periods, for example, for outcomes on ballistic testing? Is that not a fact?
Commissioners in other teams, we utilize our forensic labs, and there's a turnaround under the ballistic biology. Same with the PKTT. If they take the exhibit 2 ballistic, the very same ballistic experts use the same forensic lab. They don't have a special lab. They go to the very same lab. So there's a turnaround of 21 days, 30 days. So for them, when they say they've got the ballistic assigned in their team, it's just to expedite cases which maybe are court-driven. We also do the same in other teams. If the docket is a court docket, the prosecutor from court will write a letter of expediting. So more or less, Commissioner, if maybe commissioners were in our shoes of investigating, maybe we'll understand. So this is the arrangement which they have done with the labs, but it doesn't mean the other teams, they don't derive joy with some expert from the labs. And Commissioner, we can't afford to have a ballistic expert in every team. So this one, it was a dedicated team to address the political killings nature in KZN. That is why they've got this ballistic expert in their team. And when you do investigation, you don't only rely on ballistic experts. There's a lot of experts which are involved. For example, when we deal with
I said, General, let's take just that one example.
Okay.
So as not to avoid being all over the place, yeah.
But just to, maybe I can conclude, Commissioner, other teams will also enjoy the same example, ballistic experts in all the forensic lab which we have.
But as I understood the evidence with the PKTT, they would expedite this testing in all their matters. That's how I understood the evidence. But as I understand you now with regard to other areas of investigation with other SAPs, it's in the odd case that requests for expediting will be made. Do I understand you correctly?
Yes, yes, Commissioner. When I go through commissioners, you will also see that during the inspection, some of the dockets, they were never expedited for ballistic reports. They're still waiting now. It's 2-3 years. So they were expediting cases which are court-driven. Same with the other teams. If we arrest a suspect, we request the exhibit to be expedited through the prosecutor request. They also expedite those exhibits. So for them, this docket 118, some of them, the DNA is still outstanding, ballistic report is still outstanding because of the agreement or the manner in which we work with the courts, because we know our PKTT conduct the investigation. We arrest a suspect, then we request forensic to expedite all the exhibits which are related to the crime. If there's nothing, that is why they are still stagnant. There's no ballistic reports, still outstanding.
And to very briefly to move to another example, we are told that with the PKTT, investigations were prosecutor directed, as opposed to the police virtually from start to end, investigating in a manner that may not necessarily cover all the elements of the offense, or indeed even the necessary evidence, in a manner that a prosecutor would require. What's your comment on that?
Commissioner, in my entire 32 years in the detective, you can just investigate, especially serious cases like the murders of this nature without engaging. We do a PGI, prosecutorial guided investigation in most serious cases. It's not only PKT, we do with the NPA. Presently, as we speak, we do have a program to enhance that so that at the end of the day, the outcome, you can see the convictions. But the PGI, we do mostly, all the detective, we go first, pre-trial, there's a PGI where we engage with the prosecutors. You don't just take a docket to court, then you come back. You sit down first with the prosecutor, and then we discuss these cases, and then the guidance will be given. Most of the time we do.
Lastly, for now, you say that before the decision to disband, the minister ought to have consulted all relevant stakeholders, and amongst those you mention yourself because you are the component head responsible for serious and violent crimes. Was it the norm for ministers to consult with you on matters involving your area of function?
Commissioner, here I was just illustrating that in this meeting, I understand this executive meeting. In the SAPSMOS, we've got the reporting protocols. I'm the component head, I've got the divisional commissioner, deputy national commissioner, and so forth, national commissioner. I didn't expect the minister just to call me. I expected maybe from General Sibia and General Sintumoli to make me part of the decision which was taken to disband this PKTT, not literally with the minister, but myself also to be part of the discussion behind the disbandment. Maybe during that period, I should have come maybe with some better input, not just to disband immediately, to look into other areas of investigations or impact if the PKTT is going just to be disbanded immediately. That's how me now, I see it later when I'm discussing with General Sibia.
Thank you, General.
General, we now know that the instruction or the directive of the minister was that the PKTT must disband immediately, and it seems General Sibia must have understood it to be, it must be given effect to immediately. That's why the requests about the dockets, as we've now heard from other evidence. If you had been consulted, I'm not saying necessarily by the minister, your superiors, if they had in advance of the decision, before the minister made the decision, they had said to you, there's a plan to disband the PKTT by a certain date, what are the factors or the things that you as component head would have taken into account or would have suggested and proposed and advised, in fact, would have advised need to be taken into account before the date is fixed for the disbandment of that decision?
Actually, commissioners, the factors or facts which I will depose during that discussion, I think I will input that maybe we can just disband PKTT immediately the way it is stated. We have to look into other considerations like the one which I've already mentioned, like the issue of the elections, because the municipal elections are next year. And as we know, the environment of KZN political landscape, maybe we were supposed to say, let's look into the issue of the political environment in KZN. Maybe let's just immediately mean. Maybe the author can explain what does he mean when he say immediately, of which is true, commissioners. these tax teams really, we spent a lot of money on these tax teams. Maybe we were supposed today to take a gradual phasing out, not just bring docket, then phase 2 it will be this one, and phase 3, just gradually. And then we put it into a test. Maybe, for example, when we say gradually, then we take a test for 3 months or 4 months. Then we see if maybe gradually we have taken this out, and then we just test what is happening in KZN if this gradual movement will take place, unlike just abruptly. But I don't know, this immediately was just meaning immediately now, or what does immediately mean? But according to me, I would maybe just to suggest the gradual phasing out, because it's true, we've got the structure. If we don't do that, when are we going to capacitate the structure which is in place whilst we are still having this, the tax teams?
And what would you have said about the dockets? What would should happen with the dockets that at that point are sitting with the PKTT as this decision is being considered? And when I say docket, I also take into account that the PKTT is a multidisciplinary team. That's what we have been told. What would you have considered there and said should be considered?
The dockets were supposed to go to the maiden robbery of KZN.
Okay, so they wouldn't come to national?
No, not to national.
Okay.
We national, we give support.
Yes.
We give supporting investigation, but mostly at national. The very same docket, if it was properly discussed with all the stakeholders, it doesn't make, there's no problem if some of my members from national will work this case at 10 dockets with the members of the maiden robbery. The national commissioner together with General CBO was supposed to give just directive, as most of the dockets, they come through their offices for us to give them attention or to take them from the provinces. But through the engagement with the province, we don't just take dockets from the provinces. We engage them, because most of these dockets, they come as complaint at our office. So I don't see any problem, commissioners, if this docket really were taken to maiden robbery within that KZN.
And what about the staff, the members who at that time are members of the PKTT, and you've already said they come from different stations and provinces? What would you have said should be taken into account and how it should be handled, if you had the opportunity before the decision was made?
Okay, Commissioner, I would say those members, because they come from different provinces, but now they are carrying dockets of KZN, they will be within that maiden robbery investigating those dockets there. Some of them, they will say because they belong in KZN, we will maybe encourage them maybe to put some transfers to be permanently maybe posted there in KZN. Some of them, they do that. They work all over the province for some few, for a period. Then some of them, they are already interested there. Then they do make some transfers that they can be permanently advised. There's the advice which I will also maybe input. How about those members, those who are interested to be within the maiden robbery in KZN, they can stay there, and then we'll entertain their transfers as they come.
So you would suggest that last part so that they continue working on the dockets?
Yes, not just to take dockets, because they are the one who know those. You know, Commissioner, if you started the docket investigation up until you arrest, you have this interest, you want to see the outcome. Now somebody come take your dockets, you go back to your station of origin from your province, you lost touch. Already you have done that relationship with the deceased families. You are the one who's giving feedback. So mine will say, let those members remain in the maiden robbery in KZN.
And then lastly, in that paragraph 22, you say you wouldn't have, especially because elections are coming up, you say local government elections are coming up, you would not have encouraged the disbanding of the PKTT. Now, I'm struggling to reconcile you saying that and also saying, well, they must be disbanded to go to the maiden robbery, to go and capacitate the murder and robbery units, and it suggests, and maybe just clarify that, in my mind, that which looks like a contradiction, where you say PKT, you wouldn't have encouraged it being disbanded because we have elections coming, but you're also saying they must go and capacitate the murder and robbery unit. In my mind, it seems to suggest you don't think there's a need for a team such as the PKTT. It seems that what seems to be a contradiction to me seems to suggest that your view is it's not necessary to have that kind of team because this is work that murder and robbery